fuck you guys want? I already have an empty subscription, and I answer all your questions on my thread. I'm just kidding, come on. Alright guys, we're here today about 14 weeks out from the Arnold, and I figured maybe we do a little bit of pre-contest food preparation. I get a lot of questions in my thread about nutrition and food prep, and get a lot of positive feedbacks on those videos in the past where I've showed that, so I figure I'd give you guys a glimpse on, you know, what I do every 4 or 5 days or so to prep for my meals in advance, and come check it out. Got 10 pounds of fish, 10 pounds of chicken, I got a couple turkeys, some fruits, vegetables. That's really, those are my staples. Doing other things outside of that, some rice and potatoes, but this is all the stuff that I prep in advance. It's really simple. I'm just going to show you how I go about doing it. I know there's a lot of guys that, you know, they'll prep food one day at a time, you know, everything for that day they'll prep that morning. I found that if I do that, just forget it, you know, you'll be spending hours each day, and I found it's much more efficient to just take, you know, a few hours, you know, maybe twice a week, and just prep, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. Out of the, you know, 10 pounds of fish I have, the 10 pounds of chicken, you know, all this stuff here, on average I get about 70-80 grams of protein a meal for 6 meals a day for 4 to 5 days. The only thing that I prep the day of, I'll just boil some potatoes in the morning and prep some rice, take that with me, but everything else is made, and it makes it a lot easier for me. It ensures that you know, I always have my meals on me. I'm never at a loss for food or having to wonder, I'm gonna have to stop at this place and, you know, have to settle for something that's less than exactly what I need. So this is the way that I found to be the best.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
First thing I'm gonna do is throw some fish in the oven. All I do is just take a regular sheet pan, give it a coat of some cooking spray, and then take the pieces of fish and just lay them out in the pan.
What kind of fish is that?
This is fluke. This actually, it came into the fish market yesterday. He filleted it, he cut all the fish for me. And actually I was so pressed for time yesterday that he actually delivered it to my house, which was pretty nice of him. But technically, you know, as of yesterday, this was actually sushi grade fish, or that's how fresh the stuff is. Then, once I lay it out, just take a little bit of Old Bay. Sprinkle it on. So I just, you know, after I throw the Old Bay on it, just pop it in the oven. I set the broiler in the oven. I let it heat up. About 10 to 12 minutes, it's ready, and I just keep rotating sheet pans. I found fluke, sole, flounder to be really good fish for my needs, because most of it's wild. I don't think there is any farm raised flounder, sole, fluke, all pretty much the same fish, the flat fish. So most of it's wild. It's just a plain white, you know, low fat fish, which when I'm eating a lot of it, you know, a few times a day, I'm able to put more of it down. So it's not like I'm eating, you know, 12 ounces of salmon or swordfish, something that has, you know, such a high fat content that kind of, I'm not going to be able to eat as much of it. And also, with fish like this, they're mainly bottom feeders. You don't have to worry as much about all the mercury as you do with the larger fish, like salmon, swordfish. A lot of the larger fish, because they prey on all the small fish, they accumulate a lot more mercury than fish that are just bottom feeders or feed on vegetation, or other maybe real tiny fish. You don't get that same mercury buildup. So while the fish is in the oven, then I just get a tray of chicken ready, so that as soon as that's done, I can pop them in. I just keep them rotating. So same thing, I just take a sheet pan, hit it with some non-stick spray, lay the chicken out. Usually I can get about 8 pieces or so. This is chicken I just butterflied this morning.
Is this organic chicken, Evan, or what'd you
No,
get chicken
it's
from?
It's just Bell and Evans chicken, which I found the texture to be really good. Trader Joe's sells like an organic free-range chicken, but it's tough. It's tough as hell. I just don't like it. And it's expensive. This stuff's not as expensive, and I find the texture and the taste to be really good. Same thing that I just, put a little bit of salt and some everyday seasoning. No, really, see? Everyday seasoning. Grind it on, and it's just, it's ready to go. As soon as that fish is done, I just pop it in.
Very good.
Alright, so while that fish is cooking too, I'm going to prep some vegetables. I know a lot of bodybuilders aren't too keen on vegetables, but I do think they are important. I think they, help you digest your protein. I think help keep you regular. Plus, all the phytonutrients that vegetables have, I think, help keep you healthy. There is life after bodybuilding. I know 8-time Mr. O, Ronnie Coleman, wasn't too big on vegetables, but I don't know. I think for just general health and well-being, I think they're important. So eat your vegetables. What I got here, I just got some green and yellow squash. Just chop it up, quarter it up. I'll throw it in the pan with some water, steam it. Just nice and simple. It keeps pretty good in the refrigerator. Helps that chicken go down. Personally, I don't know how these guys did it. Just eating, chicken and potatoes, chicken and rice, because that shit gets dry. I really can't eat a meal without vegetables. It just helps it kind of go down. And I feel a lot better when I have vegetables in my diet. I think sometimes, you go so long without eating vegetables, and at least me, I'm like, man, I need like a salad or something. But that's just me. Growing up, we always had to have vegetables with dinner every night. And of course, I hated it and I gagged on them. But as I got older, I started to like them more. And I found like at times when I'm on the road or I'm traveling, and maybe my diet, in the past, because now I bring everything with me. But in the past when I was traveling and just not, eating as well-rounded of a diet, you just feel like shitty. You just feel like almost just kind of like toxic, kind of bogged down. And I think, drinking a lot of water, having a good amount of vegetables in your diet, I think it just keeps your body feeling better. I get a lot of questions on the forum about, how do you go from an off-season diet to a pre-contest diet, or how do you arrive at, a proper pre-contest diet? How do you figure, well, should I have this amount of protein, this amount of carbs, or do I have carbs, do I have fats, do I do this, do I do that? And really, this time around, all I did was I based it entirely on my off-season diet. I mean, I kept a really good, clean off-season diet. I knew, okay, if I'm maintaining, 290 pounds, eating 5 meals a day, and each meal consists of this, this, and this, then it's, it makes perfect sense that if I'm going to begin, a pre-contest diet, but, I don't want to lose a ton of weight, I don't want to go, nuts right off the rip, that I'm going to, adjust things incrementally. Really all I did, I actually added a meal, doing 6 meals a day. I dropped a little bit of carbs from my breakfast meal. So instead of, I was having things like cream of rice with breakfast, really I just have now either turkey or steak with some eggs, and usually I have a grapefruit with it, and that's it. But,
2, 1, go.
the rest of my meals of the day, chicken with some vegetables, with some potatoes, have that for a couple meals. The other meals, fish and rice for two meals, and then dinner, typically either steak or turkey, and a salad. But one of the main things I did was, off season, if I feel like I want some crab, it's those 5 base meals were always in there, but if I want some of this or some of that, I have it. Now, obviously, being pre-contest, I eliminated that. I knew that just if I'm maintaining at 290, but then I clean up the diet and I eliminate any extra crap I'm gonna have. Already, I've created a calorie deficit. That, and I bumped up my cardio from half an hour 3 times a week to a half hour. I say every day, but then there's some days where I know I don't need it. So on average, it's been about 5 days a week. So, and also I added a training day. So I didn't really cut my calories. If anything, I may have actually, there's probably a slight caloric deficit, but with all the added activity between another day of training and 2 more days of cardio, I've definitely increased my calorie expenditure. Even some days I've had to eat a little bit of crap because I feel that I'm losing weight a little bit too quick. And I'd rather eat more and do more cardio, have more activity, rather than eat less and do less cardio or train less. In the past, it was always kind of the way of thinking would be, all right, well, why do cardio? Why don't I just, tighten up my diet? But it makes much more sense to eat more, have higher activity, do more cardio, train more, because then your metabolism, you're hitting it from 2 different angles. It's going to be increased from the increased food, and then also it'll be elevated from the increased activity. So I think that makes a lot more sense.